Do you want to lose weight but struggle to stay committed to a meal plan because you constantly feel hungry? Does food provide you with comfort when you are bored, angry, lonely, or sad? If so, you are in the right place. My name is Kristen Jones, and I'm a life coach specializing in emotional eating and weight loss, and I'm also a lifelong emotional eater. I want to provide you with information, motivation, and support so you too can learn to manage your issues with food and develop a healthy relationship with yourself. Welcome to the Breakthrough Emotional Eating Podcast. Welcome to the Breakthrough Emotional Eating Podcast. My name is Kristen Jones, and I am super happy that you are here today with me. Welcome for those of you who are listening on the podcast, and if you are watching live in the Facebook group, super happy that you're here. In today's episode, we are going to be talking about rebounding after a slip. So after we slip up, after we go off the rails, train goes off the track, all of a sudden we have gone south. What do we do? How do we rebound? How do we recover? How do we get ourselves back to where we need to be moving forward? That is a huge, huge thing. And everyone needs to have a plan. Everyone needs to think about it because it is going to happen to everyone. Okay, so it's inevitable. It's going to happen. I think when we go in and we know that it's going to happen and we have a plan and that plan is positive and proactive, that is when good things happen. Good things happen from it. And one of the things that I've learned recently is that the only time we really truly learn is when we fail. When we're being successful, we're so happy. We're so kind of oblivious, just going along with things. We really learn and we really take things in when we fail, when we have obstacles, when we have challenges. That's when we learn and that's when we grow. So we need to kind of change our viewpoint and our mindset about failure and about slip ups when it comes to our eating plan or it comes to emotional eating. And we're going to talk about that today. So super excited about that. So if you are listening on the podcast and you are not a member yet, what is happening? You need to get with us on the Facebook or in the Facebook group. Make it happen. Let's do this. So go to Facebook, www.facebook.com/groups/food breakthrough, and just ask to join, answer a couple of questions, and come on in and be a part of what I think is one of the coolest communities that we have on Facebook. Very, very supportive. An amazing group of people who are supporting and helping each other through issues with emotional eating and weight loss. And everybody's just there for each other. So we would love to have you be a part of it. So come on over and jump on in. As per usual, it's that time of the podcast where we do our client or member shout out. And so for this week, my client shout out, and I am going to just totally own that there is no possible way that I could say her last name, so I'm not even going to say it. Roxy, you are my client spotlight, my client shout out for the week. So Roxy is coming all the way. She comes to the Breakthrough community all the way from Australia. So sometimes it's really challenging because I don't know if it's nighttime or daytime or tomorrow or yesterday. Sometimes it's hard for me to know where she and I are in relationship to the days of the week when we're speaking to each other online. But the cool thing is Roxy is making so much progress in her own, just in one, how she views food, but also in how she views herself and her relationships and just how she moves through life. There have just been so many incredible, pardon the pun, breakthroughs that she has had already in the 2 weeks that we've been working together. And it just warms my heart. It's so amazing to see somebody just jump in and want to do what is best for them and wants to grow and change and be the best possible person that they can be. And it's so incredibly special to be on that journey with her and to be able to stand alongside her. But yeah, she's just an amazing, incredible person. So Roxy, I am so appreciative of you and all the work that you're doing on yourself and how much joy you spread to others in the group. It really is, it's so heartwarming. It just makes me so happy. So thank you so much for being the person that you are and being such an active participant in the group and being an active participant in your own program and making changes for yourself. That is amazing. So on to today's topic, dun, 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 the dreaded slip up, whatever you want to call it. Some people call it a binge. Some people call it a slip up. Some people call it, just going off the rails, whatever it is. We all know when it happens. A lot of times it happens at night. A lot of times it's nighttime when these things happen, when we know what we're supposed to be doing. We know how we're supposed to be handling certain situations. And for some reason, our resolve just isn't there. And for some reason, we just lose our focus. We lose our determination, and we lose our love for ourselves right there in that moment of deciding that we're going to start eating things that we know we shouldn't be eating, and we're going to stop taking care of ourselves. We kind of lose our love for ourselves. And so one of the things that I want to talk about today is really the things that we need to be doing. Well, we're going to talk about 3 things that we need to do. But the first and most important thing that you need to remember when you, again, have a slip, have a an off day in your meal plan, you have to remind yourself that you are a human being and that nobody is perfect and nobody expects you to be perfect. And the moment you can let that go, can let perfection go, and you can be yourself, and you can accept that something happened that you didn't want it to happen, but it did, and you can accept it, you're going to be way farther ahead than probably 90% of the population. We have to stop expecting ourselves to be perfect. It's just not going to happen. So we have to go in with that kindness towards ourselves of, oh, okay, this happened. All right, let's own it. Let's accept it. Let's look and see how we can learn from the situation. That's the most important thing. We have to accept that we're human, but then we have to accept that, again, we have to remind ourselves, the only time we truly, really learn things is when we fail. And so failure has to be looked at not as this horrible thing. And again, remember, failure is only what you think failure is. Okay, failure is merely your interpretation of the thoughts that you have about what you've done. So if you want to beat yourself up and you want to think horrible thoughts about yourself, that's your choice. You can put yourself in that horrible place if you want to. I strongly would advise you not to do that. So we need to change how we think about a slip up. That's first and foremost. We have to remember we're human. But secondly, we have to remember, as a part of that, we have to remember that it's all in how we choose to think about it. It's all in how we choose to think about it. So one of the things that I'm always reminded of, and it's actually really interesting, and this has happened to at least one of my clients, and I believe it's happened to more than one, but I know that I have had clients in the past that have been chronic eating too little. They eat too little on their diet and they get stuck in these plateaus. And then they have what they would call a binge, or they go off and they, chips and salsa, or, dessert, or they start eating more, they start eating things that they wouldn't ordinarily eat. And so they get into that, they have that one meal or that one day of kind of going off. And then they settle themselves back down and they get back on track. And usually what happens is when they get back on track, their weight ends up dropping and their weight ends up going below where they were in that plateau. Because we always can look at, if you have been really good on a plan and all of a sudden you have a day where you kind of like, you eat too much, or you do, something happens and you get caught up in an emotion, or you got caught up in a circumstance, you might actually be doing something very beneficial for your body. So it's all in how you want to look at it. Okay, so that's the thing that I want you to remember is it's all in how you look at it. It could be something very, very beneficial for you. It could be something that could help you break a plateau if you are in fact in a plateau. So we can't, again, it all comes back to how we want to look at things and how we want to look at ourselves. So that's the first and foremost thing. Remember you're human, and remember it's about how you look at this circumstance. It might be the best thing that's ever happened to you, and it might actually have you bust out of a plateau. So can't always be viewed as something negative. The second thing is it's the thing you want to do the most, and you've probably done it since you first started dieting, eons ago. It's never worked, and so you need to stop doing it. And that is, you need to stop beating yourself up. You need to stop berating yourself. You need to stop saying bad things to yourself. You need to stop calling yourself stupid, saying, how could you do this? What have you done? How could you do that? You should have done this. All of those things, they need to stop. The only way they're going to stop is if you stop thinking them. There's no magic pill. There's no magic words that I can tell you to say to yourself. You just got to pull your big girl and big boy panties up and just say, you know what? I'm not doing this anymore. I am not going to do what I've always done, which is beat myself up, feel badly, and think that's the answer, because it's not the answer. It is absolutely not the answer. So we have to remember that power and that control and that choice is all within ourselves. It's all in how we want to view things. So you need to remind yourself, okay, I am not going down that road. I am not going to beat myself up. I'm not going to say bad things about myself. And I'm not going to belittle myself, because it's never worked in the past and it's not going to work now. Here's the other side of that. And this is something that I hope will impact people and make them go, yeah, I really don't want to do that. When you start to berate yourself and you start to, beat yourself up internally, negative thought patterns, negative self-talk, that negative self-talk is going to make you feel worse and worse about yourself. What do most people do when they're feeling badly about themselves that makes them feel really good? That would be finding something else to eat. So if you have already had this slip and it's the next day and you're still feeling bad, if you keep beating yourself up and you keep saying bad things to yourself, you are going to put yourself in a position where you are highly likely to continue with that same eating pattern. You're not going to get yourself back on track, because you're not going to see the benefit of why. You keep telling yourself how stupid you are. Why would you do anything nice for yourself? You're telling yourself that you're not worthy. You're telling yourself that you're a horrible person. Why would you do anything nice for yourself? You probably wouldn't. So that's got to stop. And that all comes from you. It all comes from inside. So you've got to make the decision. I am not going to do that anymore. This is not the road I'm going to go down. This is not what I'm going to say to myself. All the power comes from you. Some of you, I know, sorry, not sorry. Some of you hate that idea. You think, oh, can't I just read a book? Can't someone else just say it for me? No, it's got to come from you. It's all got to come from you. And the last thing that you have to do, and especially on that day after you've had the slip up, you need to think about taking care of yourself and doing kind things for yourself. That would include getting back on your plan, eating healthy, making wise choices. But also, do you need a pedicure? Do you need to take a warm bath? Do you need to go for a long walk? Do you need to call a friend? Do you need to keep yourself busy? Do you need to be doing projects so you're feeling really productive and you want to get things accomplished? What can you do? A self-care list. If you don't have one, y'all need to make one. If you don't have one, you need to make a list of what are 10 things, 5 or 10 things that you could do in the moment. It doesn't have to take too much planning, but in the moment you could do for yourself that's going to make you feel good. 5 to 10 things that you could do that are going to make you feel good. Maybe it's just quietly sitting and reading a book. Maybe it's, again, taking a bubble bath. Maybe it's getting a pedicure. Maybe it's, some people really like, knitting. Some people, and they don't allow themselves to do this. Some people like doing puzzles, that kind of thing. What can you do? How can you take care of yourself? And how can you do that in the moment, in those moments, right after you've done something that, is not making you feel all that good? How can you make yourself feel good? We need to stop with the punishment, stop with the self, the Self-flagellation, that's just, it's ridiculous. It doesn't do any good. We've got to get back on and get back on and being positive towards ourselves. Because ultimately, the only place that positivity is going to come from is us. We cannot wait for the outside world to do it for us. We have to do it for ourselves. So, little story. I have the Calm app. If you don't have the Calm app, oh, it's awesome. But I have the Calm app, and there is a part of the Calm app, if you're paying for it, there is a place, it's a part of the app that's called Masterclasses. And there was a masterclass about this doctor in London. And he was a general practitioner, and he was really into mind-body connection, mind-body emotion connection. And so he would oftentimes have clients come in, husbands and wives or women come in. He kind of specialized a little bit more in weight loss. And so he had this woman come in who, of course, she and her husband had gone on a diet. Ladies, you all know how this is. But she and her husband had gone on a diet, and in like 2 weeks, he had lost 8 pounds and she had lost 2. And she was super bummed out. She couldn't figure out what the problem was, and she was just so upset. And so the doctor did a series of blood tests on her and found out that her cortisol levels were just super high. And for those of you who don't know what cortisol is a hormone that you produce, and it is basically called the belly fat hormone. And it is when it's created and it becomes present in your body when you're under chronic high levels of stress. And so when cortisol levels are high, fat burning totally shuts off. And so women end up, a lot of times women and men will end up carrying a lot more weight in their midsections, and they won't lose weight because their cortisol and their stress levels are so high. So he told her, he said, you've got to do something about this. So he said, this is what I'm going to give you as my prescription. You have to do this for the next four weeks, come back, and then we'll see where you are. So he told her that what his prescription for her was that she had to take 15 minutes every day and do something solely for herself. 15 minutes, that was it. She called it me time. I call it me time, but 15 minutes every day for herself. 3 rules. She couldn't feel guilty. It could not benefit anybody else, and it could not involve any type of electronics. So it had to be just her, and it could be a book, it could be writing, it could be, reading, something like that, but it couldn't involve electronics. She was like, what? Like, are you kidding me? Like, this is my prescription? And so he's like, just trust me. So she went home and she did this for the next 30 days. He told her not to weigh. She went and did it for the next 30 days. She came back, weighed when she got back into his office, and was 16 pounds lighter. 16, y'all, 16, 30 days, 16. Because she had reduced her stress and she had taken care of herself. She was giving herself what she needed, and that allowed her body to relax. It allowed her to feel taken care of, and it allowed her to be able to move forward. So self-care cannot be diminished. It can't be diminished when you're in any kind of program. And I want people to absolutely take care of themselves on a daily basis. Me time is so important, but especially after you've slipped up, after you've had a slip up, you really have to make sure that you are again taking care of yourself, loving yourself, getting yourself back on track, and reminding yourself of why you're doing this. Okay, because you're doing it for you, because you're important. So those are our 3 things. Again, 3 things to recap. After rebounding after a slip, remind yourself, sorry, you're human. You're not perfect. And these things happen. And the way you choose to look at it all starts between your ears. Secondly, don't berate yourself. Again, all within your power. Every word you say to yourself is about you, and it comes from you. So decide what you are, how you are going to go about making that happen for yourself. And again, kind talk, kind words to yourself. Third thing, self-care. Self-care and helping yourself heal, and helping your body heal, helping your mind heal, helping your soul heal. Again, we need to take care of ourselves every single day, but especially after something has happened that maybe has knocked us down a little bit. We need to get ourselves back up. We need to dust ourselves off and feel good about ourselves. So that is what I want you to take away from today. Hope that this has been helpful. Again, really, really important. That beating ourselves up just does not work. Does not work. We've got to let that go. Okay. Again, thank you so much for being here. If you're in the Facebook group, I have put in the notes. I want you, if you will commit, I don't care if you're watching this live, you're watching it on a replay, if you can commit to doing these 3 things when the inevitable happens, the slip up happens, can you commit to doing these 3 things? And if you can, I want you to write the word kind in the comments, just the word kind in the comments. Okay, be there for yourselves. Be there, take care of yourselves, have your own back. And that's what I want. That's what I want everyone to get out of today. If you are not in the Facebook group, oh my gosh, again, I say, come on over. So again, www.facebook.com/group/food-breakthrough. Jump on in, be a part of the community. Love to have you. Again, thank you so much. Next week, I am so excited. So very excited. There's a couple things that I'm excited about. First off, I'm getting a new microphone and I'm so excited about it. So you are going to hear a dramatic change in the quality of the broadcast, which I'm so very excited about. And we are going to have another very special guest. We are going to have Beate Probst, who is a specialist in aging and slowing down the aging process and what things you can do to kind of slow down. We can't stop aging, but we can sure as heck slow it down, and we can do a lot of things to help ourselves in the process. So she will be our guest next week on the podcast. So super excited about that. Have yourself a wonderful, wonderful week, and I will see you next week. Take care, everybody.